ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಶುರು ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ. ಗುಡ್. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಬನ್ನಿ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ. ನೈಸ್, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ ವಿಕಿ?
ಸರ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಸರ್.
ವೆರಿ ನೈಸ್, ಗುಡ್. ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ಸು? ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್, ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಂದ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಂತ.
I was sincerely waiting for your class, sir.
That's what. Now I was waiting for your response. How are you? Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir, I am doing well.
Good.
Presently, I am in Mysore.
Oh, very good. Very nice.
Yes, sir. So I am relieved 1 month to attend this
Oh, good. Very good.
program.
Very good. Very good. That's very nice. Yeah. We'll wait for another 2 minutes and then start. Yeah, in the meantime, if anybody has any comments to make, any questions, anything you want to say? Do you remember my previous talk? Keep your notebooks ready. Anybody wants to make any observation? Anything you want to say? Right. Only 17 have come. Some more have to come. Yeah. Okay. We will start. Okay. Shall we? People will join us. I think it got a little late. So it's okay. It's all right. All right. In our last session, we talked of a few important things. We began by talking about triangulation. And then we talked about something very important, namely cognition. So we spent quite some time on cognition and metacognition. And then we talked of the importance of teacher preparation, teacher planning, and all these things, and how important planning the lesson is, and how important time management is. So we talked of a number of these things last time. As you know, my sessions are related to general education. We have lots of things to understand in general education. And so I focus on those things. I'm not a literature person. I don't focus on gender studies or literary interpretation, none of these things. So I focus mainly on general education. What we call, and then you should know this word, we call general education as pedagogy. Pedagogy, P-E-D-A-G-O-G-Y. Pedagogy. Now, pedagogy broadly refers to teaching. Whatever we do in the classroom, before classroom, in the classroom, after the classroom. What we call pre-teaching, teaching, and post-teaching. So pre-teaching, that's preparation, teaching, which is actual performance in the classroom, and post-teaching, which is what we do after teaching in the classroom. All this comes under a very broad word called pedagogy. Please don't say pedagogy, it's not pedagogy, but it's pedagogy, P-E-D-A-G-O-G-Y. So all of us teachers are called pedagogues. Pedagogue, P-E-D-A-G-O-G-U-E. So we are all, no, if you want to use a big word for ourselves, we call ourselves pedagogues. So very nice, very important word. So what we do is pedagogy, and we are pedagogues. And if I'm training teachers, if I'm in a training college or I train teachers, B.Ed and others and so on and so forth, then the training is what is known as andragogy. Andragogy. A-N-D-R-O-G-O-G-Y. So it's andragogy, which means teacher training. So we have all these professional terms, pedagogy, andragogy, and so on and so forth. There are lots of other things as well. And today, we are stepping into the classroom and looking at what the teacher actually does. How do we define a teacher's activity? How do we define the role of a learner? Today, if you have noticed, I don't normally use the word student because of what I told you last time. You see, we treat everybody as a learner, including the teacher. As I told you, you see, today's classroom is very dynamic. It's not static. So it is not one-directed. It's multi-directional. As I told you last time, you see, you have your teacher's inputs, the learner's inputs, and together we create an output. And in the bargain, there is a lot of intake. I'll come back to this a little later. So today's classroom is very different. And so when we talk about this, we would like to talk about what is the teacher's role and what is the learner's role. I don't know if you like to use the word learner, use it. But if you want to use the word student, you can use it. But student is slightly outdated now. We no longer use the word student. We have stopped using it. We have started using the word learner because everybody is a learner. As somebody said last time, you see, the teacher is also a lifelong learner. So that's it. So today, I'd like to begin by talking about the role of the teacher and the role of the learner and classroom teaching methodology. Three things. Role of the teacher, role of the learner, and classroom teaching methodology. So I'd like to begin with that discussion. But before I start, if anybody wants to make any comment, feel free. You can talk now. You know, in my session, there's a lot of talking. And I give you plenty of chance, plenty of opportunity to talk. And therefore you can talk. So if anybody wants to talk about anything, you're welcome. You can unmute and talk.
Sir,
Yes,
good afternoon,
Nagesh.
sir.
Nagesh, yeah.
Yes, sir. I think the topic what you're going to talk about or discuss about, I think it's most relevant for the today's generation because a role of the teacher is most significant, and because now the younger generation is getting into the field of teaching.
Yeah.
Where the erosion of the values, ethics, where you can see at the younger generation, okay, when compared to the generation of years in the teaching profession, I think probably you may touch upon so many things on that, where that could be a base or a foundation for the young teachers who, like us, we have already entered, we are there. Okay, so what would be the ideal, the
Combination, for example.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That you would like to.
Sir, hello, sir.
Just a minute, Swami. Let Nagesh finish. Yeah, I'll come to you. Yeah.
So because I'm seeing it, because they are totally impatient, impatient actually towards whatever they are doing. Just they want their wants and the desires of their month, it is to be met.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that is what they look for. They call it's like a corporate. What is my package per month, and what is the benefit that I'm going to get as a teacher? So because it is beyond that corporate culture.
Absolutely.
So I think that could be a better thing where if we define our role constructively.
I'll keep that in mind. Definitely. Yes, Dr. Swami.
Sir, hello, sir. Murugesh, sir.
Murugesh.
Sir, sir, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಅವರು ಸರ್ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅದೇ ಟೋನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮುಂದುವರೆದ ಭಾಗ ಸರ್ ಇದು.
ಹೇಳಿ.
ಈಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಿದ್ದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶಾಲೆಯಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಈಗ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗಿನ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ಮೀ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಕಲಿಬೇಕು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ನಾನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಟೀಚರ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಾರ್ಪೆಂಟರ್ನ ಹೋಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಕಾರ್ಪೆಂಟರ್ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಜಾಬ್, ಟೀಚರ್ ಕೂಡಂಟ್. ಈಗ ಇಂಥ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ನಾವು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಬೇಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಮಾರಲ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ಎಥಿಕ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈಸ್ ಇಟ್ ದ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೀಚರ್?
ಓಕೆ, ಆಲ್ ರೈಟ್. ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋಣ, ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋಣ, ಮಾತಾಡೋಣ.
ಹಿಂಗಿದೆ,
ಹೇಳಿ.
ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನಮ್ಗಷ್ಟೇ ಇದು ಸೀಮಿತವಾಗಿದ್ಯಾ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಸೀಮಿತವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ? ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್, ದೆನ್ ಫೈನ್ ವಾಟ್? ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಈ ತರದ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಇಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಕಂಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ, ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ರಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಿ ಅಂತ?
ನೋಡ ಈಗ ನೀವು ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ದು ಮುರುಗೇಶ್, ಟೀಚರ್ ಒಬ್ರು, ನೀವು ಈಗ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ಯಾರೋ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ನೀವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಹಾಗೇನೆ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದಾ ಏನು ಅಂತ, ಅದನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಟೀಚರ್ ರೋಲ್ ಹೇಗ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಗ ಗಮನ ಹರಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೋಡೋಣ, ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ. ಎಸ್, ಗುಡ್. ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ
ಸರ್. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬಬ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇವಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ದಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಜನರಲ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ತರ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ದೆನ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಬಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಡೇ ಬೈ ಡೇ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೈ ಸರ್.
ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ಎಸ್ ಸರ್. ದೆನ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್? ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ, ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ನಾವು ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಬಟ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ 90, 95, 90 ಅಬೌವ್ 100 ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಅಲ್ಲೋಣ. ಫೇಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಈಗಲೇ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಬೇಡ. ಫೇಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬೇಡ. ಏನಾದ್ರು ಆಗಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳೋಣ, ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಉತ್ತರ ಹುಡುಕೋಣ.
ದೆನ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸರ್, the common sense of the students, sir. IQ is more ಇದೆ, but common sense of the students day by day decrease ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್.
ನೋಡಿಪ್ಪ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದರೊಳಗೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ರೋಲ್ ಏನಿರಬಹುದು, ಟೀಚರ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಹೇಗಿರಬಹುದು, ಟೀಚರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಟೀಚರ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಇರುತ್ತಾ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲಾನು ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಸುರೇಶ್, ಮಾಡೋಣ. ವೈ ನಾಟ್? ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಗುಡ್, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್, ಗುಡ್. ಹೇಳಿಪ್ಪ.
ಸರ್, ಈಗ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ರೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವ್ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಸರ್. ಈ ರೋಲ್ ಬರೀ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆದ್ರೆ ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? ಕಾಲಕ್ರಮೇಣ ಹೆಂಗ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ? ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾಲಕ್ರಮೇಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ಇದು ಜಗತ್ತೊಳಗಡೆ ಹೆಂಗಿದೆ, ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಒಳ್ಳೊಳ್ಳೆ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಯಾರು ಟುಡೇ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಗುಡ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್.
ಹೌದು.
ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಿರಾಣಿ ಅಂಗಡಿಯನ್ನು ಸಂಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಿದಷ್ಟು ಟೀಚರ್ ಸಂಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಆರ್ ದೇ ಪೇಡ್ ವೆಲ್? ಓಕೆ ಫೈನ್ ಸರ್, ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಸರ್. ನಾವ್ ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ದೇರ್ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್. ಈಗ ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಗಳು ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ 10,000, 8,000, 5,000 ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಂಥ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಟೀಚರ್ ಈ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡಲ್ಲ.
ಎಸ್, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇರಬಹುದು. ಸಿ, ಸರ್ಟನ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಅವರ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್. Certain factors are beyond our control. Teachers' salary, teachers' posting, teachers that this, we have no control over that. But we have control over certain other things. We'll discuss that which we can talk about. Let us see, okay? Let us go into an analysis. I'd like to, shall I begin now? Or anybody else wants to talk anything?
Sir, ಒಂದು ಸಬ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಈಗಿನ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಜಾಬ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಜಾಬ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಗೆ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದಿ ಜಾಬ್, ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯಬಲ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿ ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಹಾಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ಜಾಬ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಆ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತದ್ದು ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲರ್ನ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್. ಸಿ, ಅವರ ಜಾಬ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಇಯರ್ಲಿ ವೈಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವರ ಡಿಮಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದಟ್. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೂ ನಾವು ಅಥವಾ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೂ ನಾವು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿನ ನಾವು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಥಡಾಲಜಿ ಶುಡ್ ಮೀಟ್ ದಿ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಹೌ those people should respond to the needs of the education system. So adar bagge ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದು.
Sure, we'll discuss that. We'll come to many points.
Yes.
Now.
Hello sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hello sir.
ಹೇಳಿಪ್ಪ.
Sir, ಒಂದು ನನ್ನ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸರ್. ಹಲೋ ಸರ್, ಟೀಚರ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಸರ್, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫೈಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ನೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, 2-3 ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗಳು ಬರೀತಾರೆ, ದೆನ್ ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಫೈಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಅವ್ರ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ರೀಸನ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿಸ್?
Government policy is government policy.
Yes sir. No, I'm not talking about the policy sir. What is the qualified professionals idru kuda development ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
You see, for example, ನಮಗೀಗ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ, ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ನ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಈಗ ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ಸೊ ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ನಾವು ಕಲಿಬಹುದಾ, ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಬಹುದಾ, ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಟೀಚರ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆಯಾ ನೋಡೋಣ ತಡೀರಿ. ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಕಾಯೋಣ, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಚೂರು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನಾರು ಆಗತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸೀ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ಯಾರಾದ್ರು ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ನಿಮ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿರಿ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೇಕು ಆಗ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನ ತೆಗಿಬಹುದು. ಮಾತಾಡಿ ರೇಖಾ.
ಸರ್, ಸುರೇಶ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಮಕ್ಕಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ನನ್ಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್, ನಾನ್ ನೋಡಿದ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಿತ ವರ್ಗದಲ್ಲೇ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಅನಕ್ಷರಸ್ಥರಿಗಿಂತ ಅಕ್ಷರಸ್ಥರಲ್ಲೇ ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದರ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಮೇಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೀರ್ತಿದೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದಾನೇ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಬೀರ್ತಿದೆ, ಸಮಾಜದಿಂದ, ಕುಟುಂಬದಿಂದ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಭಾವನೆ.
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ರೇಖಾ. ನಾವೇನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವ್ದಕ್ಕೂ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ. ನಾವು ಇನ್ನೊಂದಷ್ಟು ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಂತರ ಯಾರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ಮೂಲಕ ಯಾವ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಆ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬರೋಣ. ಆ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆನೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದನೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಹೋಮ್ ಅಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನೋಡೋಣ, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಈಗ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು is what is known as teacher-centered teaching versus learner-centered teaching. Nodi, teacher-centered teaching versus learner-centered teaching. Now, what you have to see is, at the level where you are teaching, whatever subject you are teaching, anything, can your teaching, can it be teacher-centered? Can it be learner-centered also?
It's a combination.
Is it possible? Just a minute, Rashmi. Is it possible that my teaching in the college where I am posted, can it be teacher-centered? Or can it be learner-centered also? What does it mean? What is teacher-centered teaching? What does it mean? It means the teacher does everything that she or he wants to do. I repeat, what is teacher-centered teaching? Here, the teacher does everything that she or he wants to do for the class. So the teacher takes a decision. The teacher does all the things. The teacher focuses on her or his own activities. It is totally teacher's control. And the teacher is the main actor. The teacher is the main performer. So it's all teacher, 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 teacher. Learner-centered activity on the other hand. If a class is learner-centered, then, very careful ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ತುಂಬಾ careful ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. The teacher does things which the learners want the teacher to do for them. Listen again, I'll repeat. In a learner-centered classroom, the teacher does things, whether it's an explanation or whether it's an activity or an experiment or a field work or an exhibition, poster, whatever it is. The teacher does things which the learners want the teacher to do for them. So in a teacher-centered classroom, everything is done by the teacher. It's the teacher's decisions. The teacher takes the command. The teacher takes the control. And so everything the teacher does. Even if the teacher allows the children to ask questions, whatever it is, that is her or his decision. But the main activity is carried out by the teacher. Whereas in a learner-centered classroom, major activity is carried out by the learners because the learners want the teacher to do these things for them. Comments? Possible? Economics, mathematics, sciences, language, English, Kannada, Sanskrita, any other subject, biotechnology, law, history, geography. Can the approach to teaching these subjects, can it be teacher-centered? Can it be learner-centered? Sadhyana? Possible? 10 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ, ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್. ಟೆಲ್ ಮೀ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯು ಟೀಚ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮೀ ವೆದರ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿ ಶುಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿ ಟೀಚರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಟ್ ಬಿ ಲರ್ನರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್? ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಎಸ್, ಓಪನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್. ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇದೆಯಾ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ. Yes, Rashmi, you can talk now.
Yeah, this is an extension to what my dear colleague participant expressed, that is Dr. Nagesh. Class nadsuvantaddu ನಾವು goes right now in the situation because job market change ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಹೇಗೆ ನಡೆಸಬೇಕು, ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೈನಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸು, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರನ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಲರ್ನರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್. ಹೌ? ಬೈ ಮೈ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌ ದ ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೀ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಟೀಚರ್. ಒಂದು ನಾನು ಬಿಲೀವ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಲರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಡೆಸ್ಕ್. The life lessons cannot be done on the desk. This was being told to me by one of my senior professors who was my principal. Sorry. Adare, result factor of the education is they need to write the exam and get the result. So, ashtu quotient na ನಾವು ಇರುವಂತ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟೈಮ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾರೋ ಒಂದು ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ಗೆ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್. ಒಂದು ಸೆಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ನ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾರೋ ಅಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ಗೆ ಆ ಸಿಲೆಬೈ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಡೆಲಿವರ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರಿಂಗ್ ದೆಮ್. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಗ್ರಿ, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರಿಂಗ್ ದೆಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್. ಅದು ಬಿಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟೀಚರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್. ಆಲ್ಸೋ ದ ಟೀಚರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಸತನ ತರಬಹುದು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ ಇಂದ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡೋದಲ್ಲದೇನೆ ನಾವ್ ಏನು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ನ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ದ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಟೀಚರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್. ನಾವ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಥಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ವಿ ಆರ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ಪಿಕ್ಚರೈಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಲರ್ನರ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರೈನ್. ಬಂದಾಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ For example, in every class, another last 10 minutes or 5 minutes, this can be experimented. ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ವಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಿನ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಇದ್ದರೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ಡ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಟೇಕ್ ದೇರ್ ಸಜೆಷನ್ and then do it as per. Simple example, Professor, by the time I got relieved from Mahajanas and joined to Government First Grade College, Hangodu, I was given a new subject called as investment analysis. ಅದು ನನಗೂ ಹೊಸದು. ನಾವೇನ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು these are all investment and share market ಆದ್ರಿಂದ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಜನ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. Let the HOD not go. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ 100 ಜನ ಹುಡುಗರು ಅದನ್ನ ಆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So that the subject was new. So none of my colleagues were ready. They said, HOD, you take the baton and you take the lead. I ventured out all the textbooks ಎಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ನೋಡಿದೆ. ನನಗೂ ಒಂಚೂರು ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ 100 ಜನ ಹಿಂಗ್ ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಲ್ ವೆರಿ ಕಾಯ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. You will be surprised. Those 100 students were experienced investors.
Wow.
Experienced investors, they were investing from the young age of their PUC.
Okay.
So ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆದರೆ ಅವರು they were not a systematic investors. So ನಾನೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ದೆ, ಹೋದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳ I'll be learning the subject along with you. So there it became learner centric. We wanted some ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾರನ್ನಾರು ಒಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ಕರ್ಸಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಸೋಣ ಅಂತಂದಾಗ the students who had knowledge, they said, ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರನೋ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಕರ್ಸೋದ್ ಬೇಡ. We will only learn. We will only do an activity. This became learner-centric.
Excellent.
It is situational. It is situational. So it is the attitude of a teacher, how he sees the classroom. We should not be blaming the students. The students are students. It is the teacher who have to take the students into control. And what I've seen in the government setup, I don't know why all teachers blame students, even though we are earning our bread and butter by students. Thank you. I think I want to close that. I don't know whether I was near to your.
I mean, what you have demonstrated, Rashmi, is that you are conscious of where your inputs were and where the learners' inputs were. So learning was no longer transferring information from one end to the other, but it became exploratory. So you explored the possibilities, and since the learners also participated, so there was learner involvement. So they could also know where they have contributed knowledge. And
the learners
that they will never forget.
No, the learners are not small school children. They're all undergraduate students. Yes, they know what they want for what they're paying. They don't want to waste their time.
Very well.
So there became learner center.
Absolutely.
There you can have a learner center where the learners are at an intellect or at a come with some amount of knowledge.
That's right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Good contribution.
Thank you.
Authority. Nim class, is it possible to make your class learner centered also?
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರು ತರಗತಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಈ ಪ್ರಜಾಸತ್ತಾತ್ಮಕ ನಡೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವಲ್ಲ, ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯಗಳಿಗೆ ಮನೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಚೌಕಟ್ಟಿನೊಳಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು, ಅದು ಲರ್ನರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ. ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಹಾಗೆ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಟೂರ್ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ, ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ನಾವು ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ.
ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರವೀಣ, ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ನೀವು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಟೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ. ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಟೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಸಿ, ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಬೈ ದಿ ಪೀಪಲ್, ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ democratization of the classroom, when you get that concept, you are enabling learners also to participate. And you heard again, when learners also do certain things, it automatically becomes learner centered, and they will be learning from that also. But you should, as you said, how much of teachers' preparation is needed there? Alva? It requires a lot of preparation from the teacher, a lot of planning from the teacher, and how to do it also. Easy to say, but very complex to execute. Now, sakashtu complications irutte. Well said. Very well said. Can I hear it? Yes, Shivkumar.
Sir, actually, as a teacher, one must know all methods of teaching,
Yes, of
even
course.
lecture method, subjects
Yes.
method.
Yes,
So, no need to follow a single method of teaching throughout the classroom, sir. actually.
good.
So,
Very good.
we
Very good.
must change as per the classroom climate.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Very well said, Shivkumar. There are some times, so let's sort of bring this discussion to some kind of a point here. That there are some times, there are some moments in teaching when teaching has to be teacher-centered. Okay? For example, if I'm explaining something, I'm giving a formula, I'm working out a mathematical solution, or I'm discussing some quotation or something like this. Such moments will require teacher-centered teaching. But there are certain moments when children can also contribute. They can ask questions, they can answer questions, they can interpret in their own way. You can say that, okay, this is one way. Is there any other way to look at something? And the children can contribute at that time. And so that way, at that moment, you can convert the class into a learner-centered teaching. You see? In other words, both these are very important concepts for us teachers to remember. That is, I should know that right now I'm doing teacher-centered teaching. And now I'm going to do a learner-centered teaching. I should be able to say that at this point, when I discuss this, it should be teacher-centered. So I should take control of the whole thing in explaining the whole thing. But this moment, at this point of time, when there's going to be a discussion or there's going to be a debate or whatever else that is going to happen, at that point, I must know as a teacher that now it's going to focus on the learners and what they do, how they do it, how they come up with solutions. It is their responsibility, and that is learning. And that is where I must focus on what they are doing, how they are learning, etc., etc., etc. So, in our classes, to conclude what we are saying, there are some moments, some times when it will be teacher-centered, and there will be some times when it will be learner-centered. But the point to remember is that it will be interesting if, as teachers, we combine both. We make our classes teacher-centered as well as learner-centered. If the teacher goes on talking, unless the teacher is very interesting, very good, fantastic, outstanding, etc., 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 otherwise it can be a little boring. And you know, when you give some time for the learners to talk, I also get a little rest. I can also relax. You know, my throat is also relaxing. So, both these are very important. Now, if we move one step further, we say that what we do in the class is what is known as developing certain content. Don't say content, content, because it's a noun or an adjective, developing some content as well as developing certain skills. Both these are very important. Content as well as skills. By skills, the definition of skills is ability to do something and do it well. Presentation skills. Ability to present well and do it very well. Communication skills. Ability to communicate and communicate well. Reading skills. knowing what to read and how to read. And not just read, but read and understand. And now not just read and understand, but read, understand, and interpret, and talk about it, criticize it. All these things. All these are skills. The ability to do something and do it well. Teaching is also a skill. But as part of developing these skills, we also develop content. By content, we mean subject matter, information. All the information that we give, all that we use as subject matter, as part of the syllabus and so on, that is content. We need content in order to develop a certain skill. We teach a certain content, and on that content, we develop skills, relevant skills. And so, point number 2, after teacher-centered teaching and learner-centered teaching, next point is knowledge of content and development of skills. Both these are important. In your own subject, as Rashmi said some time ago, because children have to write in the examination. Writing is a skill. In writing, they must have the knowledge of the content, because they should know what they're writing. It can't be hollow. It has to have substance, and that substance is content. So they need knowledge of the content, and they also should know how to present that knowledge in the examination in the form of writing, which is a skill. They should know how to start, how to continue, where to give examples, how to conclude and carry out an argument right through, and it should be in a good language, very much together, no grammatical mistakes, organized as in the introductory paragraph, the body, the conclusion. All this is skill, knowing how to do these things and doing it well. You see, so you have subject knowledge on one side and skills on the other. And both content and skill are required in order that there is good and successful learning. Is this important? Knowledge of content, knowledge of skills. Are they important? Do we understand that? Do you know what is the content in your subject, the subject that you teach? And what are the skills related to that subject? Anybody wants to talk about it? Take your subject, whatever subject you are teaching. Tell me what is the content in your subject and what are the skills and sub-skills in that subject. Sub-skills, which means, for example, if I want to write, organizing data, information, putting it in a certain format, using the appropriate language. If I'm who am I writing for, this and that. So all those are the sub-skills. Use of appropriate language, right vocabulary. Using a particular style, whether it's very formal or semi-formal or totally informal. What exactly is this? All those are sub-skills. But the main skill is writing. So every skill has its sub-skill. Making a cup of coffee is a skill, but it has a number of sub-skills. You should know how much, if I'm going to make 4 cups of coffee, you should know how much coffee powder I need to take, how much water I need to take, how much boiling should happen, when should I stop boiling, when I can add coffee powder into that, when will I mix, and how do I add tea, milk, and then prepare coffee. And a good cup of coffee, preparing a good cup of coffee is a great skill. It requires so much of content. Knowledge of decoction, knowledge of milk, this, that, and so on. And the skill, when to do what, how to do it. Making a cup of tea, making a cup of coffee, making one masala dosa. Masala dosa is the content, but how many skills you require? And subsequent. Making gulab jamun. Wow. Making jalebi or jahangir, which is more complex than jalebi. See, every one of them, every one of these bits of knowledge will have content, will have skills and sub-skills. All your subjects also have content. All your subjects also have skills and sub-skills. Any comments? Anybody wants to say anything on this? Is this useful? Any comments? Any observations?
Sure. As of now, like the skills related to the skills, of course, in the classroom and all, we are making it. As rightly mentioned, Dr. Rashmi Madam said, like many people knew about the investment because the knowledge now it has been shared everywhere. So the people are learning from the different platforms. So they have a little knowledge, little skills that they have already acquired and they come in. So where skills which we have to teach in the classroom should be on par with them and also should be beyond that. So when such kind of a community we have, like learners we have in the class, and we also have such kind of a people who have not accessed those skills
Absolutely
in the different platforms or through different platforms. So manage such a situation is difficult.
Very difficult.
So yeah, blend of that, how we can make it.
That's it. This is why we are stressing so much on planning and preparation. In the sense that you see, as we said some time ago, what they don't know becomes something which is very new. You see, so we would like to ensure that that new is well known. It becomes known. Remember, in the last class we talked of previous knowledge and so on. And so that becomes the previous knowledge. And when that becomes the previous knowledge, then now something new emerges. And therefore, you see, as a teacher, what is our job? Our job is to identify which they know and which they don't know. And whatever they don't know, how do we present it? That's why we are talking of all these things like teacher-centered and learner-centered. We are talking of these content, these skills. And how do they acquire that knowledge? How does that become known? So that you can go to the next new point. You see? So, with this, whatever I'm trying to suggest to you, this is only a process of analysis. So as a teacher, I'm learning. I'm saying that, okay, in my class, in my subject, this much my learners know. And I made sure that they know this much. But this they don't know. Now, how shall I do it? Shall I use a lecture method for that? Or shall I begin with examples? Give them three, 4 examples. Ask them, what did you learn from these examples? And then bring them to the theory. From examples to theory, the inductive method. Or shall I begin with theory, give them the formula, whatever definition, whatever, and then give the examples, the deductive approach. What approach, which one should I use? And kinds of. So, this knowledge of developing skills and using content for developing skills is something that we teachers need to know. And that's why you see, when some teachers, some of your colleagues and others probably, they will go on teaching. And then the students begin to say, the learners say, sir, we don't know this. You're not taught. Oh, didn't I teach you? You don't know about it? No, we don't know. You're not taught, you see. So that is the problem. That cannot happen. Hence, this focus on knowing what is the content, planning teacher-centered or learner-centered teaching, and then understanding what skills and sub-skills need to be developed. And that is when we follow this procedure, we are very sure that X amount of learning has taken place. See, therefore we talk of these things. Any other observations? Anyone else want to say anything? So, every one of you makes use of content. Every one of you should also be able to identify what are the skills which can be developed, which should be developed through your content. And then you plan your teaching to make sure that that content has gone through to the minds and brains cognition of the learners. Now, in this context, we focus on skill giving and skill developing, related but different concepts. Understand this. Skill giving and skill developing. All of you will give skills in all your subjects, no doubt. But then you will also work hard to develop these skills. Developing the skills takes time. And therefore, developing the skills will depend on how you have given this, how you have started them with approaching that particular issue, and how have you developed. One of the things I want to tell you at this point of time is what is the objective of our teaching? What is the prime purpose? What is the aim of our teaching? Why do we teach? You know, Suresh was asking this question. Why do we teach? Why we teach is very simple. Today we teach the children so that tomorrow or the day after, they will be able to do the same thing to others, the way we have done for them. ಮನೆ ಆಟ ಅಂತ ಆಡ್ತಾರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು. ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತು, ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಆಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಮನೆ ಆಟ ಆಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತಾನು ಅಪ್ಪ, ಅಮ್ಮ, ಅಕ್ಕ, ಅಣ್ಣ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಅಜ್ಜಿ. So they think of all these characters. Sometimes they also play teacher. And when they play this, they play the teacher, their favorite teacher or not so favorite teacher, or the teacher they hate. Now all these are realizations. This is skills development. So whatever skills they have got, they put them to use and develop. And the idea of teaching is, the aim, the purpose of teaching is, whatever I have done today for my learners, tomorrow they should be able to do it in the same way or better way to their own other learners. That is teaching. Teaching should not stop with me. There are some people who know a lot of things, but they won't share it with others. No, I won't tell you. No. It will be with me. I used to have a grandmother. When we took her to Haridwar and took her to, there's Haridwar has, now it has, Dabur chemicals, Himalaya chemicals, all these are in Haridwar. And they have a huge garden of medicinal plants. We took my grandmother because she was a kind of a self-styled doctor, and she knew hundreds of these things. And when we took her there, she could identify so many of those plants, medicinal plants, and kept on talking about it. They said, "Kya bol raha hai? Kya bol raha hai? Kya hai? Oh, kya? Bade amma kya kar rahe?" So they wanted to know what she was saying, and she wouldn't share it. So there are such people also. No, that's not teaching. Teaching means sharing so that tomorrow our learners, okay, Suresh, our learners also should be able to do what we do for them. That's beside the point. Yes, Nagesh? Agree? Yeah. That's right. Okay. All right. So, skill giving and skill developing is very, very important. Content subjects, skills development, very important. Now, okay, I'll go one step further. where am I? Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Now, we also talk of next point. We also talk of one more thing. We use some new words and say what we call knowledge giving and knowledge construction. Think of this. Knowledge giving as opposed to knowledge construction. This concept is what you find in the new education policy. This concept I have taken from NEP. But I thought I'll talk of NEP a little later. Knowledge giving is giving the knowledge to the learners. And how do they get it? They get it from the teacher, just giving the knowledge. So what do they do? How do they learn? Perhaps they learn through rote learning. Rote learning ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ? ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದು, memorizing, repeating, saying it 100 times. Saying the same thing 100 times, learning it by hearting. We have many names for that. And the popular one which you find in literature, in our literature, is rote learning. Learning by rote. Rote means repetition. Now, knowledge giving by the teacher to the learners, where there is no participation from the learner, totally teacher-centered, teacher gives the knowledge. Knowledge giving. And hence, a lot of lecturing, talking. Teaching meant talking by the teacher, non-stop, continuous, talking. Teacher talk. No learner participation, knowledge giving, as opposed to knowledge construction. So, I won't give the knowledge. I'll introduce the piece of knowledge. For example, I want to talk to them about, let us say, I'll take some example like pyramid. Just any example. You can take anything. You can take democracy, as somebody talked about. No? Pravina talked about democracy. You can talk about any such thing. Take the topic. Learner empowerment. Just as we took teacher-centered and learner-centered, we take a topic like that. And knowledge construction. Build knowledge on that. The teacher, of course, might have some inputs. Learners also can have some inputs. But together, it is knowledge construction in the classroom. And when it is knowledge construction, it automatically becomes both teacher-centered as well as learner-centered. Together, they will be doing the construction of knowledge. This is what NEP recommends, 2020. And therefore, tomorrow, if NEP is implemented wholesale, then there can't be lecturing in the classroom, at least at the school level. College level is different. Higher education also, they talk of many of these innovations, but definitely in school education. Suresh, it's no longer teachers lecturing all the time. It's involving the learners, asking the learners, what do you know about it? Today, let us talk about tank irrigation. Okay, anybody knows anything about irrigation? Is irrigation important? You know, so teacher asks such questions. So in the classroom, there will be a discussion. There will be a debate. There will be children participation. And some children say, no, I don't know, ma'am. I don't know anything about irrigation. I want to know about it. Okay, agriculture, all right. But how do we irrigate the land? What are the ways in which? So different people give different pieces. Teacher knows everything, but the teacher doesn't start the whole thing, just giving the knowledge. It's not knowledge giving. So everybody constructs knowledge. Suresh, Dr. Suresh, just imagine if you're the teachers that you talked about. if they had created such an atmosphere in the classroom. No? Supposing they had encouraged children to talk in the classroom from their experience and whatever they know. The teacher knows everything, no doubt. But if the children are also asked to contribute, you never know. They will come up with fantastic contributions. Isn't it possible? So, the difference between knowledge giving and knowledge construction. The knowledge construction, you might say, is time consuming. Sorry, it will take up a lot of time if the children also start talking. I won't be able to complete the syllabus. That doesn't matter. For every subject, you see, you need to have that much of knowledge, which will anyway give, and even that construction will anyway take you through that much of knowledge. Extra knowledge is not required, but they will also have participated in it. And as Pravina said, it becomes a democracy in the classroom. So, knowledge giving as opposed to knowledge construction, a very important idea which I want you to know, because in the coming years, all your syllabuses will be revised. All of you will undergo more teacher education programs. All of you will be told, look, you can't lecture in the class. You better create atmosphere in the classroom where the learner's participation is very important. So you have to create opportunities for participation, learner participation, discussion, etc., etc., etc. So that this is going to come in just over 2 years' time, 2025, this will be implemented. So you better get ready for this. Any comments? Knowledge giving versus knowledge construction.
Yeah, there are a set of examples, sir. I think when we take up an example of Dr. Rajagopal, who never studied, but he was good at his acting skills. And he built his knowledge.
Absolutely.
He built his knowledge. And when it comes to the Sachin Tendulkar, he's just 10th pass, but he is excellent in the field of cricket. When it comes to Deepika Padukone, who never completed his her degree.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the Alia Bhatt, so we have certain celebrities who have never ever pursued their higher education at all, but they are very, very excellent in their field, where they have constructed and where they have got their knowledge and they have constructed themselves and they have got identification. So that is how they have learned, and probably they have learned from the various sources. So probably, as you said, there will be not a situation where we, teaching something to these students, after 2 years. So where we have to create such an environment where learning is going to happen now, hand in hand. So probably that has.
Yes, Nagesh, you are worried about today's generation and the way they learn and so on. This is where it is. You will give some knowledge, no doubt, but can Nagesh also help them construct knowledge? You see, that is the difference in today's generation and tomorrow's generation. We want them to have the content as well as the skills and sub-skills. We want them to have the knowledge as well as the ability to construct more knowledge. However, this concept of startups. What is startup? You see, where were the start? When you and I were students, leave me out, I'm very old. When you were also students, where were startups? Infosys was one, Wipro was another, and Satyam in Hyderabad, that was the one. So if you leave these ones out, where were these hundreds and thousands of startups? The concept of startups. And so many youngsters who say, no, I'm not joining any job. I'm getting into a startup. I'm starting up my own things. So where was this concept of startup? And that is what we call knowledge construction. And that is because of knowledge construction. And tomorrow, we want more and more people to get into such a mindset where they'll be constructing new knowledge. Classroom becomes a new concept altogether. No? Classroom is such a place where things are happening in a different manner altogether. So particularly in today's classroom, and you know that even in the rural areas, in some of the rural areas also, ICT has come in. E-boards are available. Even in smaller schools, they use computers. They use e-board to teach. Now, if you're using e-board, if you're using ICT, if you're using computers, and if the IT has come in a very big manner today, where people access these things and so on, then you're in a totally different world altogether. Knowledge construction is now part of it. I don't know if you read about this yesterday, day before yesterday, after the match. The Australian Deputy Prime Minister represented Australia, and he and Mr. Narendra Modi jointly gave the cup to the winner. So they gave the cup. And this Australian Deputy Prime Minister, after the function was over and everything was over, he went back to Delhi. He said, I want to go to Old Delhi. I want to go and see the streets. So he was taken to the streets. Well, he went through them. So he saw all kinds of things and so on. At one point of time, they gave him something to eat. And he ate and he wanted to pay. And then the person who was taking him said, no, we don't have to pay at all. There is the, pay, pay, and I just pay it like this. And money has already reached him. The Australian Prime Minister said, oh my God, in a street, this man has a pay code like that. The other day we were standing near one temple here, and this man came with the cow, holy cow. So he said, I want 50 rupees. I said, no, 50 rupees we can't give. No, you don't have to give me a 50 rupee note. I have got my RuPay thing. You can scan it here, and that money will reach me. So this man who brings the cow on the road, on the street, holy cow, so he has his RuPay thing, and so you can pay on this. There's no problem. 100 rupees you can pay. So that is the progress we have made. And this Australian Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister said, oh my God, India has gone so far. So this Panipuri also has the RuPay thing. So you don't have to pay him any cash. No, not at all. So knowledge construction, that is knowledge construction. So in this brief session, what we have done is we have looked at what we call traditional pedagogy. Remember, right at the beginning, some of you may not have been here, I introduced the word pedagogy. Pedagogy, P-E-D-A-G-O-G-Y. Pedagogy means the activity called teaching. For teaching, we say pedagogy. So, this session, I wanted to talk to you about traditional pedagogy as opposed to contemporary pedagogy. What are some of the differences between the two? And how should we approach traditional pedagogy with modern, contemporary pedagogy, which takes us to tomorrow? And therefore, what we have understood is, it's no longer, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you should know. It's no longer giving information alone. You have to give information. You will give information. There's no doubt about it. But you are going to train them in constructing knowledge, which means you have to approach your own subject matter differently. Which means that you can no longer lecture on it, go on lecturing on it for 45 minutes, non-stop. No, you can't. You can introduce the subject, and after introduction, you create a discussion, a chat box inside the classroom, where everybody talks. And as they talk, you give minor, small, little inputs which take them further up, further up, further up. And they use those inputs, terminology, jargon, technical words, technical knowledge. You keep giving that, and as they build on that, their knowledge base also builds. So your classrooms will be totally different, ladies and gentlemen. You will be encouraging some of the important things I'm going to say now in conclusion, which are mentioned in the NEP also for higher education. You will be developing critical thinking. Learners' critical thinking. Why critical thinking? They must be able to not just accept things, but accept things after they have looked at it, examined, analyzed it critically. See what is useful for them. What have they derived from that? How useful is it? Is it useful or is it useless? How do I use it? And where can I use this? And this is where their future comes into play. So that is critical thinking. Number two is what is called critical discourse. Discourse means communication, talking, exchanging ideas, putting out my idea, listening to your idea, and then coming up with my own idea again. This is called turn giving, turn taking, communication, interaction. And that is critical discourse. So there's not going to be a blind interaction, but it will be a critical interaction, just as we are discussing things here. What we are doing is critical discourse. We are taking up an idea, talking about it. And that is called critical discourse. And therefore, critical examination, critical thinking, and critical discourse are going to be extremely important. And number three is going to be discussion. Now, discussion in the classroom. There has to be a discussion in the classroom. That's why I keep telling you, talk. Let's discuss. So discussion as part of classroom teaching strategy. Classroom teaching technique. So critical thinking, critical discourse, and discussion are extremely important. And lastly, the fourth thing is presentation skills. Learners should be constantly encouraged to present. You have explained something, you have made them all talk, you have made them all discuss. Now what you do is you don't stop there, you will call them one by one, whoever is ready, come to the board and explain whatever I explained so far to the class in your own words, whatever you have understood. So he or she comes up, stands next to the teacher, next to you, and explains everything. Whatever you said, the same. Next person, another person. So 4, 5, 6 of them, whoever wants, they can say it in whatever way they want. They will all come and explain the same thing to the whole class. By the time the sixth fellow says it, well, made a presentation, the class has learned it. And whoever you ask, anybody will be able to say the same thing. Now, if you can encourage this, it takes hardly 5-10 minutes. Children love it. They would want to, so they would say, sir, I want to explain. So you know how well they have learned and how good their vocabulary is or the concept is and so on and so forth, and how they can explain it themselves. So, critical thinking, critical discourse, presentation skills, discussion, these are the skills of tomorrow. The one important point I want to say here is, please don't ever call these soft skills. No skill is soft. All skills are equally different, equally difficult. These are what are known as life skills and not soft skills. If anybody uses soft skills, you simply say, sorry, I don't want to use that word. I'll use life skills. These are life skills, skills of life, skills of survival. These are survival skills. And they are not soft. They are very hard, tough. And so don't say soft skills. These are the so-called soft skills, but the word you should use is life skills. These are the life skills. So we learn for life. Your teaching is for life. I'll stop there. All of you take a break, have a cup of coffee, come back, and we will start the session exactly at 3:40, not 3:45, 3:40. So come back at 3:40. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Take a break. Come back.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, come back. Thank you.